This is your WGBW Daily News Roundup for the Talk of Green Bay, 97.9 FM and 1590 AM.
Civic Media News, I'm Terry Bell. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. More than 1,400 pages of newly released documents show how two lawyers from Wisconsin tried to overturn President Biden's 2020 victory in the state. James Trupis and Kenneth Chesbrough turned over the records yesterday to settle a lawsuit. The papers show how they put together slates of fake electors in Wisconsin and 6 other battleground states. The U.S. Supreme Court is dismissing 2 lawsuits trying to keep Donald Trump's name off presidential ballots in Wisconsin this year. The justices say only Congress can do that. The Wisconsin lawsuits were part of a nationwide effort to remove Trump from the ballots. They pointed to a provision in the U.S. Constitution banning anyone who's engaged in insurrection from holding federal office. Today is Super Tuesday. Voters in 15 states and American Samoa should put President Biden and Donald Trump closer to their party's nominations. Trump spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt on WISN TV's Up Front.
We have already shifted gears to focus on the general election in November. So we'll be coming to Wisconsin. We'll be coming to battleground states like Pennsylvania and Michigan in the next several months.
Biden surrogate Malcolm Kenyatta tells Up Front he's not concerned the president is losing in battleground states.
Whether it's Wisconsin or Michigan or Pennsylvania, these are states that have always been close.
Wisconsin is one of a handful of states expected to decide the winner in November. Recent rainy weather has somewhat lowered the risk of wildfires in Wisconsin. The Department of Natural Resources says most of the state's midsection is at a low level of danger, while southern and eastern Wisconsin are still at high risk. 138 wildfires have burned about 300 acres of land in Wisconsin already this year. March is National Reading Month. Wisconsin librarians say kids read books if they like the topics and the formats, like graphic novels for preteens.
It is a lot of dialogue. Sometimes there's some context, paragraphs and stuff in there, but it gives kids that visuals, and sometimes they need that to keep going.
Blaze Burton works at the Mercer Library. He says kids respond better when teachers and parents take an informal approach. I'm Terry Bell, Civic Media News. Now here's what you need to know closer to home.
For WISS WGBW News, I'm Lisa Hale. As police continue to search for 3-year-old Elijah Vu, they've requested information on a vehicle of interest in the case. Two Rivers Police Chief Ben Meinert says they have the vehicle, which is a beige 1997 4-door Nissan Altima with a Wisconsin plate that starts with A and ends with 0. What they're looking for is video from surveillance cameras on February 19th between the hours of 2 and 9 p.m. Meinert is asking for all, even those not in the Two Rivers or adjacent areas, to check for any footage that they might have. Elijah was reported missing on February 20th. Students and residents of the Green Bay Area Public School District will see a familiar face in the role of interim superintendent. After a closed session last night, the board appointed Vicki Bayer to the position. Bayer served as interim superintendent before. The former superintendent, Dr. Claude Tiller Jr. resigned after he was put on administrative leave for comments made on an Atlanta radio show. Meanwhile, Green Bay citizens with a passion for education have the opportunity to apply to a vacant position on the Green Bay Area Public School District's Board of Trustees. The district is posting a job opening to fill the seat left by Laura Leighton Warren, who resigned from her position with a year remaining on her term. The board will accept applications for the Board of Trustees position until March 19th. An expanded child care credit is expected to help families come tax time. Governor Tony Evers signed a bill in Waukesha yesterday, then visited Oshkosh and Rhinelander to highlight key initiatives in child care and education. Evers said the bill, which had a strong bipartisan support, will result in an estimated $656 in savings per filer, or about $73 million in tax relief overall. The changes apply to the 2024 tax year. Andre Jacques is running for Congress. The Republican Wisconsin state senator from De Pere announces his bid for the seat that was left open by the upcoming retirement of Representative Mike Gallagher. This sets up a Republican primary for the race. Former State Senator Roger Roth has also announced that he is vying for that seat. The 8th Congressional District covers Green Bay and Appleton and stretches through Door County and Marinette County. A federal grand jury has returned a 5-count indictment against a Kashina man for drug and firearm offenses on the Menominee Indian Reservation. 50-year-old Anthony Brown, alias Ice and King Ice, is charged with possession with the intent to distribute cocaine, 2 charges of that, and 3 firearm charges. Brown faces up to 20 years in prison and a $1 million fine on each possession charge and up to 15 years in prison on the firearm charges. Students at Langlade Elementary in Green Bay collect over 4,800 hygiene items for the homeless. Principal Melissa Wojcik says that the students wanted to beat their total number of items from a similar drive last year.
We more than doubled our goal. So it was really exciting to see our students and families all partner together, and they did a great job. I'm very proud of them.
The Help for the Homeless Hygiene Drive is a joint project with Brown County Housing and Homeless Coalition and the United Way. A St. Norbert College professor is competing in the Jeopardy! Tournament of Champions this week. Ben Chan, a 9-time Jeopardy! Champion, returns to the quarterfinal game scheduled for today. The philosophy professor won more than $250,000 during his winning streak last year. Jeopardy! Airs locally at 6 p.m. weeknights on Fox 11. And that's what you need to know. I'm Lisa Hale, WISS WGBW News.
A few scattered clouds this morning, then mostly sunny here by later this afternoon, and it will be a bit warmer today with a high of 46 this afternoon. The wind out of the northeast at 5 to 15. Tonight, partly cloudy, 28. Tomorrow, sunshine, 48. Thursday, partly cloudy with a high near 50. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Outside now, it's 35.
Huge win at home for the Bucks. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. The Bucks beat the LA Clippers 113-106 at Fiserv Forum, and they did it without Giannis or Chris Middleton, both out with injuries. The Bucks were down by 13 but made changes on defense. Doc Rivers.
We went zone a lot in the second half. We switched everything. Maybe their timing was off because of the zone. I thought it did help. For sure. And then I thought our execution offensively was unbelievable down the stretch. We got the ball. When they trapped, we moved the ball. We kept the game simple.
Damian Lillard scored 41 points and talked about how Doc Rivers has helped out at head coach.
When he came in, he was just like, you guys don't run this. You guys don't run that. Like, this is stuff we hated to guard against you.
College basketball, Marquette drops to number 8 in the AP Top 25 after losing to Creighton. The Badgers did not receive a single vote after being ranked number 6 just a month ago. They host Rutgers Thursday. Are they concerned?
No, because this league is hard. This is one of the better teams in the country. We got enough that we have to continue to try to get better at that'll help us going forward. So right now it's all about Rutgers and getting ready for that.
After a day off, the Brewers back at it in spring training baseball with a game today against the Giants, then a split doubleheader tomorrow against the Reds and the Guardians. Milwaukee now 3-6 in Cactus League action, but manager Pat Murphy doesn't want to discourage his young players.
I always say, prepare to play good, treat yourself good. Which one do you think's the toughest? Treating yourself good. Kids, they still need help because they'll beat themselves up. They'll put their expectations so high. That's the part,
Hockey, the UW-Madison men's hockey team getting ready to host the Big Ten playoffs this weekend against Ohio State, the first game Friday night. NFL, after 2 seasons, the Denver Broncos have released quarterback Russell Wilson.
We were on this journey, and so we beat Green Bay, Kansas City, we beat them, and I got that call that, hey, we're going to bench you for the next 9 games.
That's quarterback Russell Wilson. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
I'm Pete with the 60-second Showbiz Beat. University of Wisconsin-Madison film studies professor and scholar David Bordwell passed away on February 29th at the age of 76 due to degenerative lung disease. According to Variety, UW described Bordwell as a prolific film researcher and passionate cinephile. Bordwell taught at the University of Wisconsin from 1973 until his retirement in 2004. The title of Taylor Swift's new album, Tortured Poets Department, is not random. According to a report in the New York Post, the 34-year-old Swift is a descendant of legendary and tortured poet Emily Dickinson. Dickinson was a 19th century poet who wrote over 1,800 poems. Taylor Swift has over 240 songs and dates a guy who can sing the Beastie Boys at a karaoke level just before closing time. Needless to say, Swift has a ways to go if she wants to catch up with Dickinson in regards to verse. She is, however, crushing her cousin when it comes to social media followers. Dune 2 is the chosen one, as it grossed over $80 million and took the number one spot at the domestic box office as expected. The film took in almost $180 million during its opening weekend worldwide. Dune 1 opened during the COVID pandemic. As cinematic as the film was, it was not as edge of your seat as Dune 2. Dune 2 is not a perfect film by any stretch, but very exciting, and despite the 2.5-hour plus running time, moved well enough so that it flew by. Dune 2 is the highest grossing opening weekend of 2024 so far. Sydney Sweeney had to use her Saturday Night Live monologue to dispel rumors she was dating Anyone But You co-star Glenn Powell. The New York Post reports that the rumor started when Sweeney and Powell were spotted, quote, getting cozy on the set, end quote. People, the key words here are on the set. It's a movie. Sweeney also took part in a sketch where she played a Hooters waitress. Can't wait for the rumors to circulate that Sweeney might actually be working at Hooters. Everyone needs a side hustle. Ty Burrell is alive and well. It was confirmed at the SAG Awards last week when the cast of Modern Family showed up to present the Ensemble in a Comedy Series award to this year's winner, The Bear. To get the Modern Family actor to show up, Jesse Ferguson, who played Mitchell Pritchett, called Burrell himself and urged him to be there. Ferguson told Burrell he needed to make an appearance because fans had heard rumors that he might have died. Burrell played Phil Dunphy on the show, which ran on ABC for 11 seasons. Jimmy Kimmel Live host Jimmy Kimmel came to the defense of comedian and Golden Globe MC Joe Coy. Kimmel feels Coy should get another chance at hosting the Golden Globes. Kimmel argued that the embattled comic got the gig at this year's Golden Globes just a few days beforehand and took a lot of flack for going after people in the room. Kimmel says Coy is funny and learned his lessons and would do well if given a second chance. Here's a good lesson. If you want writers to create funny jokes for you, don't tell them their jokes stink in front of a national audience. At least he didn't get slapped by Will Smith. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, every night between 7 and 9 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
That's your WGBW Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at WGBW.FM.